will be recorded. So we have started recording of this session, and I'll share my screen with you here shortly. Awesome. So we've got some people who have been in the business for a long time. I appreciate you joining us and look forward to hearing your feedback and sharing some of your thoughts about what works best. We've also got some people that are brand new into the business. Lots of you are from the East Coast, so thank you for joining me late in the afternoon on your Monday. And most of you are also from warm places of the world, except for Chris, you and I are both from the north side of things, and then Mark's from Breckenridge. So super excited you all are here. I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing my screen with you so you can see everything. And without further ado, we're gonna jump in. My goal is to just be in here with you for an hour today. We're really gonna spend time going through listings, through marketing, and through tools and preferences. So if you have any questions that come up as we go, there's no such thing as a silly question. If you have that question, chances are that someone else on the line also equally has that question. So without further ado, let's talk about your listings. So all of your listings from your MLS are automatically feeding into your IQ office. So you do not have to go in and manually add anything into your IQ office. They're all coming over from your MLS, photos, details, all of that. To get to your listings, you can either click the listings button here on the home screen, or you can go to listings and then up to for sale listings. And when you do that, you're going to be able to see your listings here. I'm in as an admin in this account, so I see all the listings. It works very similar to how you'll see. You can scroll through and find your listing. You can also go ahead, you could type the ML number in there. So if you knew the ML number, it was 36178 or whatever it was, you could search for that and it would come up. To clear your search, you're gonna click that little X box next to that search bar, and again, it will default you back to your main category. So we're gonna look at this listing here today. When you click on that listing, notice that right screen comes out from the right side of your browser window. Anytime a screen pops out from the right-hand side like that, it means that you are in edit mode. So you're able to edit information in here. Again, it is updating from MLS. I can see right here where it says update from MLS, yes. If for some reason you want to turn that off, you could say no. If it needs to come off for the website, you can change these things. I don't want to display remarks. I don't want to display address. Is it a private listing? Yes. So you can change all these things. Know that as you're changing these buttons, you need to make sure you click this save button in the upper right-hand corner, because if you make changes and don't click save, you're not going to save your changes. And there is nothing more frustrating than going through the process of editing a whole bunch of things and then not clicking save and not being able to do anything. Nancy, I can make my screen bigger, but I can't change the resolution on what's being shown. You also, on the right-hand side, have this share button. So here on the right-hand side, you have the ability to quickly share this listing. Every listing gets a details page, a showcase page, and they also get something called a single listing website, or an SLW. If you see that, what that is a branded website with an address for your sellers and for your search engine optimization to be able to see that listing. So when I click on that website, I can see here, this is the details page. I can also see the showcase page by clicking on that window as well. This is just a nicer layout of everything. Area information and likes. When you take a new listing, you are going to get an email that looks similar to this. And it's going to have, congratulations, your name, you've got a new listing. This does a few things for you. A, it lets you know if you were not the one that input it into MLS, that your listing is live in MLS. It also gives you the ability to quickly share your listing right from this email. So you can click and view or share right from those details, SLW or showcase page. You can easily print a property flyer either by clicking the download or customize button. And you also can order your postcards right from that flyer as well. To show you where you can go to customize what your flyer is, that is a setting that you would find underneath your name, profile, and then your preferences tab. So there's a section here that says default property flyer. You would select what that flyer is. And now when you get that email, that's the flyer layout that is going to be selected. Any questions on that really quickly? We're talking about sharing it on social media. I'm assuming since there's no comments that you're all nodding your head saying, nope, no questions, we're ready to go on to the next thing. Awesome, thanks, Samantha. So if I click on one of these share icons, it automatically pulls up my Facebook. I can easily share it here. I can share it to one of my pages. It's a quick click and share. Below that, you have a section for media. So you can add up to 3 video tours. And as you scroll down, you'll see more information about the listing, including at the bottom, a section that says MLS remarks and description. So your description automatically copies what comes in from the MLS. If you wish to share or change what is written there, you are more than welcome to do that. When you change it, it is going to stop updating only the description field from MLS. An example of why you would do this is as follows. We all agree to play nice in the sandbox. So we say, hey, we're all part of the association. We're going to play nice in the sandbox. We're not going to put builder names in the description or any other information to really help get traffic to you instead of to the other agent whose information it's being shown on. So you can see here that they added this text, open house scheduled for June 30th during the fair, 11 to 3 p.m. You could add, this is a home built by Selkirk Construction and a 2019 Parade of Homes winner for best kitchen design. Again, using that save button in the upper right hand corner whenever you make any changes so that it is being changed. If at any point you want to have the feed start overwriting from MLS again, you would just click on allow feed overwrite from MLS, and then it would do that. The last thing I want to talk about is attaching the seller to your listing. So you have the ability to attach your seller to the listing. What that does is it creates a portal for the seller. We're going to get into what that means a little bit more. And the first thing that they can access, they being the seller, is a place to put their property stories. So many of you know some sellers have really interesting stories about their homes that they live in. Perhaps they've done major remodels or raised children there, and they want to share the story of their home with potential buyers. However, it doesn't fit into what you would like to have in to describe the property in a details way. The seller can go in, they can add their story here. You as an agent have to go in and activate that story. It does not automatically activate. And the reason for that is we don't want your sellers to unintentionally get you in hot water with equal housing or fair housing rules. And so you have to go through and approve it. So your seller might write this beautiful story about how they've had great open house or great parties and holidays and all of that. And then at the very end, they say, but we don't let kids in our house. So please don't bring your kids with their grubby paws to touch all our stuff. You as the agent could then go in and delete that portion from their story or inactivate the entire story if you wish. So that is what the story section is. The next thing we're going to just quickly talk about are the actions. So we're going to talk about action plans a little bit today. How many of you have a list of everything you need to do once a listing goes live? So you have a new listing and it goes live and you have a list of everything you're going to do for that listing. So Nancy does, Byron does, Renee has a plan, cool. So you can create your custom plans that you have for your listings. And if you're new to the industry and you don't have a plan, start making a list of the things you'd like to do to really create a comprehensive marketing plan for your listings, because you can then attach those listing plans digitally to the listing. So you can go in, you can assign an action plan here. You can say, hey, I want to use this new listing checklist and click save. Now I've got all of the information of what I need to do for that listing attached to that listing. I can go in, I can click actions and complete. I can make a note on Realty Pro. Here's the website. And click save. Now I've got that note, I'm showing it as complete, I know what's going on. You also can go in and manually add your own actions if you'd like. So you can say, hey, I need to do a seller photo op, and I know that that is happening on the 27th. I'm assigning it to myself as the listing agent, or if you're co-listing it, you can assign it to the second listing agent. And what I want to just point out here, because we've been talking about that seller portal, is there's a section that says visible to seller, yes or no. And so if you want to make these items available to the seller in their seller portal, you can do that simply by selecting visible to seller, yes. The next tab is the attachments tab. This is where you can upload attachments for public use. So if you have a document you want anybody to see, you want it available on your website, you can add that here. Again, these are public. And now we're really going into using the open houses, showings, and reports. So to schedule open houses, you would go into open house, you would click plus new, and you can choose who's holding it open, what day and times they're holding it open. You can add multiple dates with multiple people holding it open. And click finish. These will feed from your MLS if it's something that your MLS can feed out. And they then show on the details page for that listing. So when a consumer goes to the listing, it will show the open house and who is holding that open in at the next open house. So the listing agent is featured as well as the agent holding the open house open. There's also a showing feature. So if you would like to use IQ Office for managing your showings, you can do that. You set your showing options, who's confirming it, the agent, the seller, by the seller, or the agent. Do you want the seller to be notified, yes or no? Do you as the listing agent want to be notified, yes or no? What are the showing instructions? Lockbox please remove shoes and don't touch the cat. He's mean. And then you can put your geographic directions, west on Buckle, north on Street. Any notes are for you. So instructions and directions are shared with the outside agent. Notes are for you that say something like, seller wants follow-up 3 hours after each showing, or whatever that is. You then can go in and create that showing request. You simply type the agent name, put in a time, date, what type of showing it is, and click save. So there's a good question about open houses that I want to just address, and that is, if all the information doesn't feed from MLS, can I make additions on this page? Chris, you can make additions and changes. You can't do it on this page at this time, and I'm going to show you how you go in and do that. The last thing I want to talk about on listings before we jump into open houses is reports. So I can see here that the seller is attached to this listing. I also can now set up seller reports. So I can put in the information about the competition. So what is the price range for the competition? What's the square footage? What's the location? On the right-hand side are report features. So do you want to show the listing details? Do you want to include the web activity and the showing activity? Do you want to include competitive listings? Do you want to include referral reports? So this is reports on how visitors arrived at the listing. You can preview that report. It will always show you the listing agent at the top, as well as all of the information about how that listing is showing up. You can also schedule to have this go out either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. Let me just exit out of this real quick before I zoom back in. And that you do right here. It says, hey, when would you like this to send out? Either weekly, 2 weeks, or 4 weeks. So let's talk about how we use that in a script. So what I do when I go to a listing appointment is this. I'm going to go to a listing appointment. Say I'm going to a listing appointment at Renee's house. I go in, I say, hey, Renee, I'm so glad that you let me come to your house. I'm really excited to see it and go through this process with you. I know moving is really difficult, and I'm just really honored that you chose me to interview to list your home, because I'm going to make this as easy as a difficult situation can be. And she says, oh, it's so nice to meet you. And then I say to her, so Renee, how many agents are you interviewing? Typically, people say between 2 and 3, whether they are interviewing that many or not. So she says, hey, I'm going to interview 3 agents. I say, perfect. Thank you for letting me know how many people I'm going up against. And what I want to do is I just want to take a quick minute, because we all really do essentially the same thing. We help people buy and sell homes. And our goal is to help you get your home priced competitively, to move in your time frame, and so that you're making the most money you can, and moving is easier for you. But I don't want to talk about the things that I do that are the same as everybody else, because I think we'll all come in within probably $5,000 to $10,000 of each other when it comes to the price of your home, and that's important. But what I really want to talk to you about is what happens after you decide. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set you up with a seller portal. So you're going to be able to log into the internet at any time and see your listing. In that portal, you're going to be able to add a story, if you would like, about your home, so that people can see why you loved living here. There's also going to be a section that has a checklist of all the marketing activities that I'm doing, so that you can see how hard I'm working on selling your home without having to call me. And you can see that at any time. The last thing we're going to do is I'm going to set you up with seller reports. And what that is it's a report. Do you think you'd like to get it weekly or bi-weekly or monthly? Most of the time people say they want to get it weekly. I say, perfect. I'm going to set it up. It's going to send to you once a week. I'm going to send it to you once a week, and it's going to have the statistics about how often your home is shown, what the competition looks like, how people are finding your listing, and how much traffic it's getting online. Because I know that Samantha is one of the other agents that you're interviewing, and she's going to tell you that your listing is on 17 million different websites. And that's awesome. But honestly, it doesn't matter if your house is listed on 17 million websites if nobody's looking at it. And my goal is to drive traffic to your website so we sell your home. You're going to be able to log in at any time and see all of that. That, my friends, is a game changer, because now you're not talking about price with your client, you're talking about service with your client. So that is really everything underneath this listings page. Chris, we're going to jump right into your question now about, can you edit your open houses? And that you do underneath this listings tab as well. And you do it underneath open houses. Before we exit and go there, are there any questions about anything that we went through underneath listings, either showing it, sharing it on social media, how to add actions or action plans, also how to use those seller reports? Again, this is being recorded, and you are going to get a digital copy of this recording as soon as we're done here today. If you have questions, go ahead, type them in the chat box. I'm going to go ahead, we're going to jump into open houses and how you can edit those open houses. So if I go into that open house page, I'm going to open up the open house dashboard, and I can see here the upcoming open houses. If I need to go in and edit that, I can click actions and edit. I can change who's holding it, the date or the time of this. I also can go in, and if I need to, I can delete that open house. There are some great tools on this open house tab page that you should know about. The first one is you can easily print a flyer from this page. So I can click print flyer. It brings up all the open house flyer options for you. I can choose my option. It automatically is entering all the listing information into that flyer. And I can easily go in and save and print it, save and email it, or just save this. So here's all that information. If I don't like the photos that are chosen, I can click on the edit button. I can go to property, and I can change the photo that's shown. Once I click save, this is saved to my marketing tab. We're going to go there next. I'll show you where it is. I also can easily print it. If I click print, it's actually going to open up a separate tab that has a PDF in it. You need to make sure that you don't have your pop-up blocker on. And here's that flyer. Or you can email it. And if I choose to email it, it pops open the email edit screen from the right-hand side. I can easily send this email out from this screen. The next thing you can do underneath this actions tab is there is a sign-in page created for every open house. And let me just open up an account that is not a demo account so you can see that. So you go to listings, open houses, and then you can go in actions and sign-in page. It shows a beautiful picture of the home. It shows welcome. It will always show who is hosting the open house here in the bottom right-hand corner. And when a client puts in their information, they are given the opportunity to email or text this right out of the system. Here we go. I'd like you to text me and email me this property. This will time out in 30 seconds and go back to the sign-in page. that email automatically populates in that consumer's email address. They also get a text message that has a link to the property website. So I'm going to pull up my text messages here to show y'all. Here it is. I can see here existing contact, website send text. Here's what they requested information on. This is my lead email. Here's what went out to the consumer. Kelsey, thank you for stopping by the open house today. Click here to see the details of the property. I'm just going to highlight that and copy it. I'm also going to paste it in that comment box so that if you want to see that link that goes out, you can. Any questions on this open house tab? Cool. Let's jump into this marketing tab then. We're about 30 minutes in. I know that I'm going quickly. I also want to reassure those of you as we're about halfway through that if this is going really quickly for you, please do not panic. My goal today is to let you know what you don't know and a little bit more about where things are. But there are ongoing trainings that dive into each of these sections in great detail. So at the end of the day, I will put up the link to those trainings so that you can get more on each of these sections. Sonia asked, for the open house, don't you receive the contact information? And the answer to that is yes. It goes into your CRM underneath customer relations. So when you go into your customer relations, that person's lead information is there. Does that answer your question, Sonia? I think that's how you say your name. Perfect. So marketing. There are a lot of things you can do underneath marketing. The first thing we're going to talk about are print and email content, which are right in the middle of this tab. You can easily click to create either print or email content. To get to your main content dashboard, you click on My Saved Content. It does not matter if you click My Saved Content underneath print or underneath e-marketing. When you do that, your main content dashboard opens. So here is that flyer, that open house flyer that I created earlier on the call right here. This is all my saved content that I've created. To create new content, you click the Add Content button in the upper right-hand corner. And then you choose the content type that you would like. So as we're waiting for that screen to come up, there are many different types of content available to you. You can choose by the category: blank, e-blast, letters, property flyers. Many of you also have company templates that are available for you. You just would click underneath content type company, and that would bring up all your company content. And I want to go through just a couple different kinds of content quickly. The first are e-blasts, and know that e-blasts and property flyers work very similarly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on an e-blast for just sold. Here are all my choices. I'm going to select the e-blast that I like, and then anytime that you have a place that you want to enter property information, you will see select property buttons. And then you just simply have to click select property. You can scroll through the list of properties, or you can type the MLS ID and choose it from that drop-down menu. This is pulling all properties from your MLS. Again, I can choose property here. I can say I would like to do this property. And again, that last property. Now, something to keep in mind is this. Anything you highlight over, you can edit. So if I'm highlighting over one of the photos or some of the information, I can change any of this. So if I don't like that this says just sold, I can say simply, maybe you just want to say sold today. And it changes that text. Once you've made all your changes, you can save and email this out. You can also just save it. Annette, that's a good question. So Annette says, if you're the selling agent, can you still use this? Or if you are the listing agent only? You can use this if you are the selling agent as well, as long as that complies with what your MLS and company rules say. Does that answer your question, Annette? Yep. Once I save it, I can then close out. Again, that's going to show on my main dashboard here. I do quickly want to just show you about blank content because there's some really neat features for blank content that you need to know about. And that is the time that you would use blank content is when you're creating, perhaps you have your own letters. So you have your own letters, your own information that you want to send out. You can go in, you would select the blank content that you would like, and then you would choose this box. And this drop down at the top that says add to text is a way to add information that auto fills. So if I'm writing a letter that says, welcome to, or it was great to meet you. It was great to meet you today. I am looking forward to setting up a time for us to chat. What's really nice is there's a lot of choices here, and I can see that it's not showing on your screen. So know that this is a drop down, and it's got everything from contact name to contact cell information to agent email signature. So I can then enter my agent email signature into this material. And then when I'm in my profile and I update my signature in my profile, it automatically updates my signature in all of my marketing material. Again, to do that, I chose from the drop down next to add to text, agent email signature, and I clicked select to insert it into the text that I'm writing. Once I'm done with that, I click save. So now you've got some options for this content. You can go in and you can email it out, you can print it, you can edit it. I tend to not email out from the screen. I tend to attach everything I can to a campaign. You can send it out by to 50 people at a time through here. So I could go in, I could say, hey, I'm going to email this out. I want to send it out to this contact type, and click finish and click send. The problem with that for me personally is to go in and find out how many people read that email. I have to go back to my customer relations, go into my contacts and leads, view by contact type, and then go through every, so I can say contact type, I want only buyers. And then I have to go through and I have to read through every single one to see if they got it. Now, there's an alternative. You can set up an email marketing campaign called My Campaigns. And when you do that, you would go in, you'd click My Campaigns. We're going to create a new campaign based on contact type. So I'm going to say, okay, my first campaign I'm going to do is going to be a buyer's campaign. The first event that I want to include is my letter that I did saying it was great to meet you. And then I'm going to give it a subject. Then I can choose to send using several options. So I can say I want to send using a date. A date, I just pick a day on the calendar, and then I always choose a time to send out. You can send it using a month. So is there a particular month on the first of the month that you'd like it to go out? You can send it out on a holiday or birthday. So I can say, hey, this is a birthday card I want to go out to my clients. You can also choose intervals. So I want this to go out on the third day that someone is added to a campaign. You can choose a day of the week, or you can choose a transaction date. Transaction date is pretty slick. This says send after, and then you choose how many days after the transaction you want to send that. Once you've made all of your choices here, you would click next. You're changing it only within the campaign, and you click finish. Now when I click done, I can go back to my buyer's campaign, and I can continue to add additional events to this campaign. This gives me the ability to go in and read statistics about what is happening with my campaign. Annette, I see your question. I'm coming back to it. So I can see in my all user communications how many attempts, let me make this bigger. So how many attempts have been made? How many have been sent? How many have been viewed? How many are on the do not send list? I also can open up events, and then I can go in and I can say, I want to see the activity for just this event. When I do that, and bear with me because this is going through about 100,000 emails right now, it's going to tell me when it was sent last, when it was clicked last, and how many clicks that person had. So now I'm getting direct feedback based on the event so that I know what's happening. Does that make sense to everybody? Debbie, did that answer your question? Perfect. Annette asked, does it go into spam that way too? So the receiver's email is who is deciding whether it's spam or not. That's not something we can control on our end. It is beneficial for you to have your circle of influence add you as a safe sender to their email. It's also beneficial to make email subjects things that people actually say. Things like, hey, just wanted to check in, or listing information you requested. So if it's an email subject line that you would actually write, it helps that spam filtering. Annette, because of the way our system sends out emails, it does not go to spam the same way because it's sending those all out as individual emails. It's not a blind copy. Does that answer your question? I'm just refreshing this page here. I'm going to choose an event that has less data in it, because I do think that's worth seeing. So I can go in, I can say all user. Let's look at one of these. Other questions about campaigns while we're waiting for the screen to come up? So here's that report. So I can see here that this went to Tim and Jane Lawless on Tuesday, October 2nd, and that they viewed it on Thursday, November 22nd, and they viewed it 3 times. This, for me, from a marketing standpoint, is awesome. Because I can see not only when it was sent, I can see if there was an error, I can see if it was clicked on, and it breaks it down by user. The other thing that's available to you is on the right-hand side, there's a section that says top viewers. So I can go in, and if I need to look at Beverly, I can click on Beverly's name and her edit screen shows up on the right-hand side. I don't have to leave the campaign to go to my customer relations to see what she's doing. I can access that from right here within the system. And that's why I use campaigns. I want to know about attempts. I want to know about views. I want to know who my top viewers are and what events are working. I want feedback on what I'm doing. So the next thing underneath marketing that we're going to talk about are orders. So you have the ability to order postcards from within the system. This acts very similarly to creating print marketing material. Again, you can click the green create an order or the order button in the upper right-hand corner. When you do that, it brings up a wizard. You choose your layout. I can say, hey, I want to do this gray-blue buyer's postcard. Anything, again, that you hover over is something that you can edit. You also can insert a property if you would like. And then I would click Save and Continue. When I click Save and Continue, I'm given the option to send it to contact types. I can have them delivered direct to the office, or I can target a location. If I've selected a property, it will automatically put that in here. There are minimum order quantities. When I click Save and Continue, I review my order. I then put in my payment information. Here's all my payment information and click Pay, and then I'm given this screen. You get an email proof. You're able to go in and edit your postcard as many times as you need to. Once your editing is processed, these are printed and delivered to the post office within 48 business hours. And then typically for bulk mailings, the post office takes between 7 and 10 business days to process and deliver them. But that is as easy as going in and saying, okay, here it is. I need to edit this, this, and this, and walking through. Again, to get there, you went to marketing and then to my orders. There is a section to blog on here. There's also a section for surveys and testimonials. Those are big features for you to use. They're not difficult, and we do individual sections and segments on those three. Any questions on postcard orders, creating marketing material, or making campaigns? Nancy, I don't understand that question. Is there a way to add a link to your web address to eBlast? So you want to add a link in the email that goes to your website, or you want a link on your website that says, send me information? Later, afterwards. So you want, okay, perfect. So the last section we're going to go through today is this tools and preferences section. And this is where you can go in and you can create your action plan. So you can go in and say, for a new lead that comes in, I want to create an action plan. To do that, you would click on the plus new button in the upper right-hand corner. You can do action plan type is either a listing or a contacts or leads. Mark, I'm going to come back to your question. And then you would name your action plan. There are two types of action plans. One is the action plan you apply to a person. So what are the actions you're taking with the person? And the second type is a listings action plan. Listings action plan is What are the actions you're taking with a listing? Once you say, hey, I'm creating a contacts or leads, this is going to be a circle of influence action plan. You click save. It opens up that edit screen. You could click plus, and then you would name your item. You would choose from the drop down. Do you want a follow-up request, add to campaigns, send survey? What would you like? And you choose all your parameters. You can add as many action items as you wish to an action plan, and you can apply an action plan to a person by going to your customer relations, my contacts and leads, opening up that person, and in the actions tab, you can click plus add here. You also can add it to a listing by going to your listings dashboard, selecting the listing you would like to add it to, going to the actions, and same thing, click on this plus add here and add that action plan. When you do that, all of the items in that action plan show for you to do. They also show up on your main dashboard. So there are a few other things underneath tools and preferences that you need to know. One, if you're a part of a team and you need to set up shares. So if I'm on a team with Mark and I need to share all my contacts with him, I can say I want to go into my tools preferences contacts shares. I would set up a new share. I would select his name from the drop down and click save. Now all my contacts would be shared with that user. You can do the same thing for your listings and for your home folder. Mark asked a question underneath creating an ad, this ad management. Mark, that's because I'm an admin in this account. So when you are an administrator, you have some extra privileges to do some things that agents cannot at this time. That is not a button for creating a classified ad. Are you talking about like a print classified ad? You want to create something? You would create something underneath that print category. Underneath marketing and print. The last piece that I want to make sure that I talk to y'all about today is this files tab, because we didn't talk about it last week. Underneath the files is where you can go, and this documents library is where your company has added all of the documents that they need you to have access to and share with you. You can go in and you can download those. You can see them. You cannot delete them. You also have a section that's called home folder. This home folder is your own folder where you can go in and add documents that you need access to. There is an e-sign function underneath tools and preferences where you can send out things to be digitally signed. When you do that, the option to pull from is from your home folder. So I'm going to name this I'm going to click next. I'm going to add an email subject. You can choose to have someone else notified. You also choose if you want your client to get a text message notification. You add that contact information. And then you can add documents from your home folder. If I choose home folder, I select the document. I then go to next, and I'm able to drag and drop the fields that I need signed. So I can say, hey, I need this signed here, and I need this signed here. And then I click next. And then when I click finish, it sends it out to sign. I get a notification that it's sent. I'll get a notification when it's completed. and I can resend it if I need to. So that is also available to you underneath Tools, eSign. What questions do y'all have for me? We've got about 5 minutes left here. I want to make sure that you are getting your questions answered and that there's a lot in here. As you're typing your questions, I do want to make sure that you all know where the Facebook group is. And this is a great place to go and ask questions. If you click on this link in the chat box, it should open in a separate window for you. So this is a great place to go. Our webinars are posted here. We do our best to answer questions here. We also have a YouTube channel, and the best part about the YouTube channel is that you can search through the videos. So you can go into the videos and you can say, I want to know more about marketing. And it will pull up all of the information about marketing. So that came back with all of those videos. And the last thing that you need to for surely know about are our upcoming training. So every Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, there is ongoing training available for you. If you are unable to attend at that time and you register, you get an email with the recording. And we are always taking advice on more classes that you would like to see. And we do really try to be super consistent with that Monday morning, 8 a.m. deep dive. So this coming Monday, September 23rd at 8 a.m., we are doing a Marketing Your Listing hour webinar where we're spending an hour just underneath listings. That's a ton of information in an hour. The hardest part about this is then getting in and starting to really use the platform. And so what I would do is challenge you to go in and make sure that you're putting a time on your calendar to work on your IQ Office. So a maximum of an hour a day is what I recommend. You're going to spend 1 hour a day, but no more within your IQ Office, a minimum of an hour a week, so that as things are getting updated and coming out, you're not getting left in the dust because there's been changes and updates to the system. Questions and comments for me here, gang. I'm here to help you. If there are no questions, I want to make sure I'm valuing your time and not taking up too much of your time in the afternoon. You will be getting a copy of this recording. It will also be posted on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. Great resources for y'all. If not, I will see you next Monday at 8 a.m. And I hope you have a super successful week.